My name is Ethan Walker, and for the longest time, I believed my life was ordinary, predictable even. I grew up in a small town in North Carolina, the kind where neighbors wave from their porches, and the local diner still knows your order by heart. Our house was modest, worn with time, but filled with memories. My mother, Claire, raised my brother Liam and me by herself after our father passed away. At least, that's what she told us. Liam was 5 years older than me, and the golden child in every way. He was tall, athletic, effortlessly charming, and somehow always knew what to say. I idolized him. Growing up, I'd follow him like a shadow, annoying, persistent, and eager for approval. He taught me how to ride a bike, how to throw a football, and how to lie with confidence when I'd broken Mom's favorite vase. Despite the age gap, we shared a bond that felt indestructible. He teased me, sure, but he always had my back. Whenever I got into trouble at school or was bullied for being smaller than the rest, Liam was there, fists clenched, daring anyone to mess with me again. He was more than a brother. He was my protector, my role model, my best friend. Our mother worked 2 jobs, one as a nurse's aide at the local clinic and another cleaning offices at night. She was tough, steel wrapped in warmth, and loved us fiercely. She rarely spoke about her father. Whenever I asked, her answers were clipped, rehearsed, always ending with, "He loved you both very much." I assumed it hurt her to talk about him, and I never pushed. Liam, on the other hand, never asked. Not once that I can remember. I used to think that was just part of being older. Maybe he remembered more than I did. But sometimes, late at night, when I'd wake up to get water, I'd see him sitting in the dark, staring at the old photo on the mantel. A man with hazel eyes and a serious expression. I used to think we looked like him. At least I thought I did. As we got older, things started to shift in subtle, almost invisible ways. Liam began pulling away. It was slow at first, turning down invites to hang out, giving vague answers when I asked for advice, brushing off conversations with a laugh that didn't quite reach his eyes. I figured it was college girl's life. He was just growing up. But something in me knew it was more than that. I remember one Thanksgiving, I was 16 and Liam had come home from his junior year at Duke. Mom had cooked up a storm, turkey, stuffing, pie, the whole deal, and the 3 of us sat around the table pretending everything was perfect. Halfway through dinner, Mom excused herself to take a call, and it was just me and Liam. I asked him something simple, maybe too simple. "Do you ever think about Dad?" He paused mid-bite, fork frozen halfway to his mouth. His face tightened for a split second before he forced a smile. "Sometimes," he said, eyes fixed on his plate. "Do you remember him at all? Like, what he sounded like?" He didn't answer immediately. Then he looked up and said, "You ask a lot of questions, Ethan. Some things are better left alone." That night stuck with me like a thorn in my mind. Why didn't he want to talk about it? And why did he always look sad, or maybe guilty, when Dad came up? The more I thought about it, the more strange pieces I started to notice. Family photos where I didn't quite fit, my hair darker, my eyes a different shade. Old birthday cards signed Love, Mom and Liam, but no mention of Dad after I turned 6. Conversations that stopped when I entered the room. Moments where Liam would glance at Mom like they were silently agreeing on something, keeping something from me. There was one night, not long after my high school graduation, when I stumbled upon something that set everything into motion. I was rummaging through an old storage box in the attic, looking for a childhood trophy to pack for college. Among the dust-covered photo albums and yellowed report cards, I found a thin manila envelope with my name written on it in my mother's handwriting. Inside were a few scattered documents, my birth certificate, some hospital papers, and a small, folded letter. The certificate caught my eye first. Under Father's name, it was blank. Completely blank. I stared at it for what felt like hours. My heart pounded in my chest like a war drum. I reread the name, the date, the address, everything matched. But that box, that line empty. I unfolded the letter with trembling fingers, but before I could even scan the first sentence, I heard footsteps on the attic stairs. Liam. His face was pale, his jaw clenched. "You weren't supposed to find that," he said quietly. And in that moment, everything changed. The silence in the attic was unbearable. Liam stood in the doorway, arms crossed over his chest, his body half-shadowed by the dim bulb that hung from the ceiling. His voice echoed, low and tense. "You weren't supposed to find that, Ethan." I stared down at the envelope still clutched in my hands. The empty birth certificate. The letter I hadn't even finished reading. My fingers were trembling. "What does it mean?" I asked, the words barely escaping my throat. He exhaled through his nose, sharp and frustrated, then stepped fully into the attic, closing the door behind him. "It means exactly what it looks like. I'm not just your brother, Ethan. I'm your half-brother." I felt something inside me lurch, as though the floor had shifted beneath me. "But I thought Mom always said." My voice cracked under the weight of confusion. "We had the same dad. You knew this whole time." Liam looked at me, his face a mixture of regret and something else I couldn't name. "Yeah, I've known for a while." He didn't say anything more. He didn't explain. He just stood there, watching me wrestle with the pieces in my head. "You let me believe we were the same," I whispered. "You let me think he was my dad, too." "He was never my dad either, not really," Liam said after a long pause. "He died when I was 5. You weren't even born yet." "But why didn't anyone tell me?" Liam leaned back against the attic wall, rubbing the bridge of his nose like he was trying to hold back a headache or the truth. "Because Mom thought it was better that way. Cleaner. Safer. You were just a baby. What difference would it make if you grew up thinking we shared a father? It made things easier for everyone. At least, that's what she said." I didn't say anything. I couldn't. The air felt thick, heavy with secrets that had festered for too long. That night, I barely slept. I sat in my room staring at the letter, eventually reading it through blurry eyes around 3 a.m. It wasn't long, just a few paragraphs in my mother's handwriting. It confirmed everything. My father's name was Michael Reyes. He'd left before I was born. No death, no tragic ending, just abandonment. He hadn't wanted to stay. My mother wrote that she had tried to protect me from the pain of knowing that, and that she didn't regret keeping the truth from me because I had Liam, and Liam was family. But it wasn't enough. The next morning, I confronted Mom in the kitchen. She was making coffee, like it was just another day. "You lied to me." She turned slowly, mug in hand, her eyes already filled with a sadness that told me she knew what I discovered. "I did," she said quietly. "And I'm sorry. You let me believe something that wasn't true for my entire life. You made me think I had a father who died." "Why?" Her voice was calm, but her eyes flickered with pain. "Because the truth would have broken you when you were too young to understand. I made a choice, Ethan. Maybe not the right one, but I thought I was protecting you. By giving me a fantasy?" She nodded. "Yes. And maybe also because I was ashamed." I didn't know what to say. Anger swirled in my chest, but so did something softer. Betrayal. Not just from her, but from Liam too. He knew. "I told him when he was 16, she said. "He deserved to know the truth about his brother. He swore he'd never say anything unless I allowed it." "So, he's been carrying this secret for 5 years?" I asked. She nodded again. "He never once broke that promise." I left the house that day. I didn't know where I was going, I just drove. For hours. I ended up at an old trail Liam and I used to hike as kids. I sat on the rocks overlooking the river and thought about everything I didn't know about myself. Was I still Ethan Walker? Did my last name even matter? Did any of it? Over the next few days, I became obsessed. I started digging, searching for anything about Michael Reyes. I found nothing at first. No social media, no news articles. It was like he'd disappeared. I even searched public records, old address books, archives. Then I remembered Aunt Karen, my mom's older sister, who had always been a little too curious, a little too gossipy for her own good. I gave her a call. "Ethan," she said, surprised. "Everything okay?" "I just have a question, and I need you to be honest." A long pause. "It's about my father." "Oh," her voice dropped. "I guess Claire never told you." "She didn't. I found out by accident." I just want to know if you knew him. Another pause. His name was Michael. Michael Reyes. Your mom dated him for about a year after Liam's dad passed. He wasn't ready for a family. He left before you were born. I always thought it was cruel the way he disappeared, but your mom was tough. She picked up the pieces. Do you know where he is now? Last I heard, he moved out to Texas. Got remarried. Has kids. I think he owns a tire shop or something. But that was years ago. The conversation rattled in my brain for days. I thought about reaching out, about calling him, writing him, asking him why. But what would I say? Hi, I'm the son you never met. Do you want to know me now? Instead, I turned my attention back to Liam. He had kept the truth from me for years. And even now, he seemed untouched by it. I cornered him in the garage a few days later while he was changing the oil in his car. You knew. 4 or 5 years, Liam. How could you keep that from me? He didn't look at me. He kept working. Because it wasn't my secret to tell. You watched me believe in a lie, Liam. You watched me defend a father who didn't even exist. That doesn't bother you. It bothered me every damn day, he snapped, finally meeting my eyes. But I didn't want to be the one to shatter your world. You were just a kid, Ethan. And yeah, it tore me up. But I made a promise. Then maybe you should have broken it. He shook his head. Maybe. The garage confrontation with Liam didn't end in a fight, but it didn't bring peace either. After he walked away, I stood there in the lingering smell of motor oil, stunned by the realization that my own brother had chosen silence over truth. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind raced in loops, haunted by questions I had no answers for. I kept replaying the words, "He left before you were born," over and over. Every memory I had of being a kid, every bedtime story Mom read to me, every time I looked at that photo on the mantle and thought it was my dad, it all felt poison now. That's when I made the decision. I needed to find him. Michael Reyes. I didn't know what I expected from him. Maybe nothing. Maybe just answers. A voice. A face. Something to make sense of the gaping hole that had suddenly opened up in my identity. I spent the next few days digging deeper. I called Aunt Karen again, pressing for details. She gave me a city in Texas, El Paso, and the name of a business, Reyes Tire and Auto. It was something. A lead. I sat on my bed, laptop glowing in the darkness, staring at the website for the shop. It was basic, just a phone number, a map, and a grainy photo of a man standing beside a truck with the name Mike Reyes stitched into his work shirt. He looked older. Balding. Tanned. He was smiling, but it didn't feel warm. It felt distant. Like someone who had built a new life and didn't leave room for the old one. Still, I picked up the phone. My hand shook as I dialed. The phone rang 4 times before someone answered. A woman's voice. Reyes Tire and Auto. How can I help you? I froze. Hung up. Coward. The next day, I tried again. This time, he answered. This is Mike. My throat tightened. I couldn't speak. I listened to the sound of his voice. Deep, raspy, unfamiliar. Hello? Anyone there? I whispered. I think you're my father. Silence. Then a long, heavy sigh. Who is this? My name is Ethan. Ethan Walker. Claire's son. The silence on the line stretched until it nearly crushed me. I think you have the wrong number, he said finally. No. I don't. My voice cracked. I just want to talk. I'm not here to ruin your life. I need to know why. He hung up. Just like that. I sat there, staring at my phone like it had betrayed me. I didn't cry. I couldn't. The anger drowned out everything else. It wasn't just that he'd abandoned me. It was that even now, decades later, he didn't care. I felt small. Unwanted. Discarded. I spent the next few days snapping at everyone, Mom, Liam, even my best friend Marcus. I avoided calls. Skipped class. Lost interest in everything. My mother tried to talk to me, but I brushed her off every time. Then Liam showed up at my apartment one evening, uninvited. I heard you called him, he said, sitting across from me like he'd been preparing for this moment. Of course I did. You wouldn't understand. He leaned forward. Actually, I do. I tracked him down years ago. I blinked. You what? I found him when I was 17, he admitted. I needed to know who you were. Who we were. I found his name in Mom's files, did some digging. I even called him once. He told me to never call again. So you knew he wanted nothing to do with me? And you still didn't say anything? I didn't want to destroy the image you had, Liam said. You were always so full of hope. So convinced that our family, broken as it was, still had something sacred. I couldn't bring myself to crush that. That's not your decision to make, I shouted. You and Mom made that choice for me. You both treated me like a child too stupid to handle the truth. We were trying to protect you. Well, it didn't work. All it did was delay the pain. Liam looked down at his hands. I didn't tell you because I knew it would hurt. I wanted to give you time. I scoffed. Time? Time to what? To believe I was someone I'm not. There was a long silence between us. Then Liam said something I wasn't expecting. Ethan, you're my brother. That's never been a lie. I wanted to believe him, but something inside me had shifted. Maybe permanently. Later that week, I received an envelope in the mail. No return address. Just my name, scribbled in uneven handwriting. Inside was a letter. Ethan, I'm sorry for hanging up. I panicked. Yes, I knew about you. Your mother told me years ago. I didn't walk away because I didn't care. I walked away because I was afraid I'd ruin everything. I'm not proud of that. I'm not a good man. I don't know if you want to meet me, but if you do, I'll be at Riverside Diner next Saturday. Noon. I'll wait an hour. After that, I'll assume it's better if we stay strangers. Mike. I read the letter 5 times. My heart raced. My hands were shaking again. It was a choice now. To know him or not. To seek answers or to walk away. I looked at the envelope again. Then at the photo still on my dresser, Liam and me at the beach, 10 years old, arms around each other. My world was changing fast. But for the first time, I was the one in control of the next move. I arrived at Riverside Diner 20 minutes early. The place hadn't changed much since I was a kid. Same neon sign buzzing over the windows. Same greasy smell of hash browns and bacon. Same cracked leather booths. The familiarity of it clashed with the nerves boiling in my stomach. I chose a corner booth where I could see the entrance. My fingers tapped anxiously on the table as the minutes passed. Every time the bell above the door jingled, my heart kicked up. At exactly 12:06, he walked in. He looked smaller than I expected. Older too. A thick gray beard covered his face, and a ball cap shaded his eyes. He scanned the room, paused when he saw me, then walked over like he was carrying a lifetime on his back. Ethan, he said, voice low and cautious. I nodded. Mike. He didn't correct me. Just slid into the booth across from me. We stared at each other for a moment, and I tried to find something of myself in his face. The shape of his nose, maybe. The lines around his mouth. I didn't think you'd come, he said. I almost didn't, I replied honestly. But I needed answers. He took off his cap and set it on the table. That's fair. Silence fell again, thick and awkward. He finally broke it. Your mother, she was the strongest woman I ever met. I didn't deserve her. Then why did you leave? I asked, the word sharper than I intended. Why did you leave me? He looked down, hands folded tightly. I was 23. No job. No clue how to be a father. When Claire told me she was pregnant, I froze. I told her I'd try, but the truth is, I was already halfway out the door. I wasn't ready. That's it? I asked, bitterness rising in my throat. You weren't ready, so you just disappeared? No, he said quietly. I sent money. A few times. I wrote letters. Your mother never replied. Eventually, I took the hint. I leaned back, stunned. She never told me that. I'm not blaming her, he added quickly. She did what she thought was best. And I respected that. But I always wondered if you'd want to know one day. And when I finally reached out, you hung up on me. He winced. Yeah, that was wrong. I didn't expect it. Hearing your voice, it shook me. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if I believed him. But he seemed sincere, and for the first time in days, I felt something other than anger. I felt exhaustion. We talked. Slowly. Awkwardly. I asked about his life. He'd remarried once. No kids in the second marriage. He ran the tire shop with a partner. Played guitar in a weekend blues band. Lived a life completely separate from mine. Do you ever think about me? I asked. All the time, he said. I just figured I didn't have the right to reach out. Maybe you didn't, I said. But I still needed you. His eyes watered slightly. I'm sorry. The words hung between us. I didn't know if they were enough. But they were something. After an hour, we stood outside the diner. The sun was high and unforgiving. He extended a hand to me. I hesitated, then shook it. Take care of yourself, Ethan, he said. You too. He turned and walked to his truck. I stood there watching until he drove away, his silhouette shrinking in the distance. When I got home, Liam was waiting on the front steps. He stood as I approached, his hands in his pockets. So, did he show? Yeah, I said. And he's not who I imagined. But he's not a monster either. Liam nodded, then looked away. You hate me, don't you? I don't, I said, though the words didn't come easy. But I'm angry. You had 5 years to prepare for the truth. I had 5 days. I know. And I'm still trying to figure out what hurts more, that he left me or that you let me grow up believing a lie. Liam looked me dead in the eyes. You were my brother before I knew the truth, and you're still my brother now. Nothing changes that. I didn't answer right away. I thought about all the times he stood up for me, all the times he taught me how to be strong, to laugh, to push back. That wasn't fake. That wasn't a lie. I need time, I finally said. He nodded. I'll wait. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the diner conversation in my mind. Mike's voice. His regrets. His apologies. He couldn't change the past. Neither could I. But for the first time in my life, I understood who I was, not just in name, not just in blood, but in choice. I was Ethan Walker, the boy who had 2 fathers, one who vanished, and one who stayed even when it hurt. One rainy afternoon, everything unraveled. I had just returned from work, soaked to the bone and exhausted, when I heard loud voices coming from the living room. As I stepped in, I saw Mom and Jordan locked in a heated argument, something I rarely witnessed. Jordan's face was red with frustration, and Mom's eyes were brimming with tears. You should have told him. He's not a kid anymore, Mom, Jordan shouted. He wasn't ready, she snapped back. You weren't ready either, but you figured it out and still chose to protect him. Protect him? Or lie to him? Jordan yelled, turning just in time to see me standing in the doorway. Silence fell like a thunderclap. What's going on? I asked slowly, drenched not only from the storm outside but from the tension that now poured over me like ice water. Jordan took a deep breath, as if this was a moment he had rehearsed 1,000 times, but still dreaded. Eli, there's something you need to know. I looked between him and Mom. She avoided my eyes, clutching her hands like they were the last thing keeping her grounded. You and I, he said softly, we don't have the same father. The words hit me like a sledgehammer. The room spun. What are you talking about? I whispered. Mom collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. I was young, confused. Your father. He left before I even knew I was pregnant. Then I met David. He was there for me, but he wasn't your biological father, Eli. But he raised me, I murmured, struggling to catch my breath. He loved me. Yes, she said. He loved you like his own. I turned to Jordan. You knew. He nodded. For over a year. I overheard Mom and Aunt Lydia talking. I confronted her. I wanted to tell you, man, but I didn't want to hurt you. You lied to me, I said. Both of you. It wasn't about lying, Jordan said, stepping forward. It was about timing, about love, about letting you grow into the truth, not be shattered by it. But I was shattered anyway. The foundation of my life had just cracked, and everything was crumbling beneath me. For days after the revelation, I couldn't speak to anyone. I went on long walks through the woods behind our house, just trying to breathe, to make sense of the new shape of my identity. I wasn't angry that I had a different father. I was angry that everyone else had known before me. The betrayal stung. Jordan gave me space. Mom tried to reach out, leaving me voicemails that I listened to but didn't answer. The silence was my armor. But even then, I couldn't deny the memories of David teaching me how to ride a bike, helping me build my first model plane, sitting in the front row of my graduation. He might not have been my biological father, but he had been my dad. One night, I found Jordan sitting on the porch steps, a beer in hand, waiting like he always did when he knew I was finally ready to talk. I sat beside him. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, without looking at me. "I should have told you sooner." "You should have," I replied. "But I get it. You were trying to protect me." He turned his head. "You hate me?" "No," I sighed. "But I hated not knowing. I hated that you were carrying that weight alone." He smiled faintly. "It was never about hiding it from you. It was about figuring out how to tell you without making you feel like you didn't belong." I leaned back against the railing, the cool night breeze hitting my face. "So, who is he?" "My real father." Jordan reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded envelope. "Mom's been holding on to this. Said you'd ask when you were ready." I stared at it. Eventually, I took it, but I didn't open it. Not yet. For now, I wanted to process things at my own pace. "Thank you," I said. "For what?" "For being my brother, no matter what." He nudged me with his shoulder. "Always." The stars above us blinked gently in the dark sky, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel lost. The truth had shattered the illusion, but in its place was something stronger. Honesty, brotherhood, and the beginnings of real healing. It's been a year since that night on the porch. A year of slow healing, hard conversations, and unexpected discoveries. I eventually opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, written by a man named Marcus Holloway, my biological father. He'd passed away 10 years ago, but he had known about me. He'd left the letter with my mom, hoping that one day I'd be told the truth. Reading his words was surreal. He spoke with warmth, regret, and hope. He never tried to make excuses for why he hadn't been in my life. He just expressed that he had loved me from afar and that he'd trusted David to raise me the best way he could. I cried for hours. Not just for the loss of someone I never knew, but for the realization that love had surrounded me all along, even if it looked different than I imagined. Today, Jordan and I are closer than ever. That invisible wall, built from secrets and silence, crumbled, and what remained was something real. Solid. Honest. My relationship with Mom is still mending. There are moments when I want to scream at her for the lie, and others when I see her as a mother who made a complicated, human choice. Sometimes we don't get the truth wrapped in a perfect moment. Sometimes it crashes into our lives like a storm. But that storm cleared the fog. Now, when I look at old family photos, I don't see deception. I see love in different forms. Chosen, given, and earned. We may not have shared the same father, but Jordan is and always will be my brother.